What's going on, guys? Today I wanted to talk about something that I've been wanting to talk about for a really long time, but I just really haven't had the time to sit down and record it or do the research that I needed to actually make this type of video. And I've just noticed stuff that's been really getting on my nerves here recently and in the past too, but I just haven't talked about it yet. So if you look at the title of this video, if you can read, which I hope you can if you're watching this video, you'll see that this is about the media. And by the media, I mean like ABC, and then I know that GMA or Good Morning America, that's on ABC, but ABC, World News, GMA, The Today Show, just news outlets like that. Of course, they talk about video games a lot, and I know that other YouTubers have covered this before, but I just wanted to sort of put my own spin on it and let you guys know what I think about this. So, when news sources cover video games, or Fortnite specifically, they always say that these video games are extremely violent, which is just absurd because apparently this is violent. But, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, it is a little bit violent. I mean, you're shooting other people with guns, but it doesn't show blood. It doesn't even have realistic graphics. It's cartoon graphics. I mean, if you look at Call of Duty, people are blowing the heads off of other players in Call of Duty. Limbs and blood everywhere, and like, it's realistic graphics. So, I mean, why are they talking about Fortnite and not Call of Duty? Now, I know the answer to this. This is because Fortnite is so much popular, and there's a bunch of little kids playing it. I know little kids play Call of Duty too. But right now, Fortnite is, of course, more popular. And also, of course, Fortnite is free, so I mean, if you go out there and your kid is wanting to buy a $60 extremely violent video game, you can say, no, you can't buy that, or no, I'm not buying that for you. While Fortnite, you can just sort of download and play that without your parents knowing, or if your parents do know, they don't have to pay for it, so they don't really care. But the way that these news sources are covering Fortnite just makes me angry because they don't know anything about it, and of course they're turning to this whole video games create school shooters sort of thing, which is, of course, completely not true, because if you look at like any school shooter, of course they're going to be like, oh yeah, this kid that shot up a school, he played video games, so you know, that's the reason that he shot up the school. I mean, everybody plays video games nowadays, so it's not that weird for someone who just happened to be a little mentally unstable play video game. And when news sources are covering these things, they don't even know really what the game is about, because if you look at one of these newscasts, they sort of say what the premise of the game is, but they get a lot of things wrong, and they don't really know what they're talking about. It's like they do like a little bit of research, but they don't really do enough research to actually know what they're talking about, so they honestly just sound really stupid when they're talking about this kind of content. And honestly, I don't even know where they get some of this information at, because if you look on Google right now, if you Google, does video games make kids violent, there's going to be 1,000 studies come up that say, no, video games does not make kids violent, when on a newscast or morning show or whatever, they're like, yeah, these video games, they make kids extremely violent. It's like they either fabricate news, fake news, or they get some obscure source that backs up what they're talking about, and they're like, hey, yeah, look at this, this is supporting our evidence, this is one singular source. Just disregard all of those other sources that talk about, you know, how video games are good for kids, they create interaction between players, they build teamwork, all this stuff. Just forget about that. Look at this that says video games make kids violent. And honestly, on Good Morning America, they got this like sports psychologist guy that actually doesn't tell everybody that video games are going to kill humanity. He's actually like, yeah, video games can be sort of good, but the Good Morning America people just like completely throw that out the window, and they're like, oh, is there any real benefit, after he specifically says that there is some benefit. Here, let me just show you the clip. Okay, before I show you this clip, can I just say that this lady right here looks like she would call your manager? I mean, just look at her.
To further the discussion, let's bring in clinical and sports psychologist Dr. Jonathan Fader. And Jonathan, thank you for joining us. From a clinical perspective, what makes this game different than any other games that we've seen before, and how does it affect the brain?
Listen, when you mentioned Fortnite here in the studio, there were people high-fiving. I saw a bunch of teenagers in the studio high-fiving. This is a viral game. People are so into this game, and the thing that makes Fortnite so different is it's so interactive, Michael. I mean, people can play duo as a team and really interact over the video game. It affects our pleasure centers of the brain. That's what video games do, and this one is really intense.
Okay, so speaking specifically to Fortnite, how much playing time is too much time? Parents want to know, what limits do we set?
Well, the American Academy of Pediatrics says if your kid is 2 to 5, it should be an hour or less a day. With teenagers, it's really about the context. How does the video game affect their activities? Does it prevent them from getting their schoolwork done? Does it prevent them from doing other social activities? You know, Homer Simpson had a great quote: "To alcohol, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems." So, you know, when you think about these video games, it's like, yeah, they give kids fun, but at the same time, let's moderate.
And is it hard as a parent to find that balance with your kids?
It's so hard. I mean, my kids play video games, and what I do is I play with them.
Okay, now let me stop the video right there. I actually do sort of respect this guy because he plays video games with his kids. I think more parents should do that because, like my parents, they would never play video games with me when I was little, or even now if I asked them to play video games, they'd be like, "What are you talking about? No, that doesn't sound fun." I respect this guy for actually trying to get into the video game and playing, like, for example, Fortnite with his kids, because then he'll know what the video game is about, and I think that more parents should really do this.
I want to see what they're doing. I want to get in, and I mean, some of it is just fun, but I want to be there and understand how violent it is. And also, I want to help them limit it themselves.
It's a problem, too, because my kids use all of those devices.
Can I just say that she would also be the type of person to call your manager? Just have to throw that out there real quick.
So if there are any benefits to playing video games?
Do you see that guy? He's just like, what are the benefit? Hey, if there's any benefits, you know, there's probably not any benefits, you know. He's just so against video games that he just can't imagine there being any benefits.
Look, I mean, there are definitely benefits. The thing about Fortnite is it's a multiplayer game, and the thing that teenagers really enjoy about it is that you're actually talking to your friend while you're doing it. Now, so that's really one of the fun parts about it, and that's what sucks people in and says, hey, 5 more minutes, Mom, 10 more minutes, Mom, 3 hours more, you know, and you could spend your whole life down there in the family room playing. It's that interactive component. A lot of kids who aren't connected in sports or other settings really find a social scene in that, which is as a benefit, but in moderation, it can really get out of hand.
Yeah, moderation being the key.
And I like that. You play with your kids so you know what they're doing, and you can say, hey, it's time to cut it off.
Yeah.
So I do sort of got to hand it to this guy. He did say that there are benefits to playing video games, but he still did contradict himself at the end. He's like, you know, it can get out of hand, which it can. Video games can get out of hand. I mean, if you're spending like 14 hours in your mom's basement and you're 30 years old playing these video games, I mean, that's a little bit out of hand. But I mean, video games have opened up so many opportunities for people. People are getting paid from video games, and it's just a lot of fun. So if you're a parent out there watching this video, which I don't know why you'd be watching this video if you are a parent, just play the video games with your kids. That's a good alternative to just saying, no, these video games are violent without really knowing anything about the game. So sort of just to wrap this video up, as I just said, play the video games with your kids. Decide if it's something that you want your kids to be playing. If it's not, I sort of understand that your kids may not need to be playing these games. And sure, if they're like 5 years old, because I have gotten into a game of Fortnite with a 5-year-old and he didn't know what was happening, so maybe if they're 5 years old, it's probably not a good idea for them to be playing Fortnite or violent video games. I didn't personally start playing like Call of Duty until I was like 12 or 13, so I sort of understand that. But please, news stations, I know that you probably won't watch this, but if you do, please do more research on the video games that you're writing about, because if you do more research, you'll understand the video game and you can give parents a more accurate representation of what these games are about, because a lot of parents will just watch this and be like, no, video games are terrible, so I'm not going to let my kid play it, when that's not fair. The news needs to give an accurate representation of what these games are about. So I've been wanting to do a video about this for a really long time. I should have probably did it when Fortnite was a really hot topic in the news, because it sort of died down at this point a little bit. But at least I'm getting this video out now. And this is also the new type of content that I've been wanting to produce for a really long time, but I haven't really had time to do it. Even though I've been working more than I've ever worked, and I have a very heavy course load this semester, I'm going to be trying to make more videos, probably not every day, but at least once a week. This is my second video of the week, so make sure to check back tomorrow, and I may have another video. Who knows? I might stay up late tonight and record another one, because I have tons and tons of video ideas to share with you guys. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to share this video and leave a like and subscribe with the post notification button bell down below. Definitely sharing this video and liking it is the best way you can support this channel, and subscribers are also good. I know I just said all that, but I'll just repeat it again for good measure. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.